cast from the coast.
There's no more room in hell. The dead will walk here.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Here's Johnny.
She just goes a little mad sometimes. We all go a little mad sometimes.
This 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. The boogeyman is real, and you found him.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Have you checked the children?
Welcome everybody to the Cast from the Coast, episode 37, by the way. My name is Adam Miles, and I have with me, as always, Tim. My name is Horace Johnson.
Okay.
I was expecting something related to the show tonight.
Yeah.
Look,
That just totally took me off guard.
Yeah, it totally came out of nowhere.
That was
It's
the point
good,
of that
good.
one.
It's good.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
Now, before we started recording, you said, I'm going to change it. Specifically, what was it before you changed it?
It was going to be Tim, be my victim, Johnson. Which is just okay, and it was
okay.
nothing to do with tonight's episode. However,
But it didn't have the ball punch that fucking Horace.
Horace.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good.
And I mean, we had the actions and everything,
Sound effects, yeah.
Well,
Animated Adam.
By the time that people actually hear it on the podcast, it'll probably be like a real shotgun racking, right in
That's
there,
right. Yeah.
Nice. How you doing, Tim?
Adam's gonna add his sound effects.
I am good. I'm exhausted, but I am good.
Yes, you're exhausted, man. You've been working non-stop on shit for Misunderstood Photography after HalCon, buddy. It's going good.
It is going good. I'm enjoying a lot of the edits that I've been coming out with, but I don't know. I think it's just this time of year. Like, I'm really excited because, Halloween is right around the corner. I love fall. I love summer, but I love fall. And I don't know if it's kind of like, what's that called when, like, you get right kind of
seasonal
down.
depression order, or whatever it's called. Seasonal.
Yeah, seasonal, but it's not in the sense where it's zapping me of, like, life and passion. It's zapping me of, like, energy. Like, it's just a struggle. Every day's a struggle.
Every
It's
day.
invigorating.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm really excited that we jumped on tonight. We're doing our podcast. First time in weeks. I had to save the channel with a fucking reaction video because
I watched that the other night.
Nothing's been coming out, so I was like, you know what, guys, I'll do this. I'll
take one for the team.
I haven't produced a video in months, and it felt good being, for a change, being on the other side of the camera. But that trailer, though, guys, that trailer, yeah,
thing of beauty.
What do you make of it? I mean,
it's the whole thing is misdirection. It was edited in a specific way to incite a reaction. Yeah. None of that, like, at the end. Oh, we're talking about Star Wars: The Last Jedi, by the way, if anybody doesn't know. But that scene at the end where Rey's saying that she needs to find her place in the world and Kylo holds out her hand, that's two different scenes in two different locations.
Oh, you can entirely tell that. It's just a lot of people probably wouldn't have thought.
You saw my reaction. I was like, right? So, I couldn't believe it. But then, upon my second, third, fourth, fifth viewing, I'm like, yeah, this isn't even the same. But it looks awesome.
Oh, it does look amazing, yeah.
So just before we got on the call here, somebody posted on Facebook all of the original posters for Star Wars. And the one thing that they pointed out was, basically the big bad guy is always looming in the background. And for the latest poster, who's looming in the background but Luke. Yeah. And it follows. I mean, it's you can see it, right? I'm like, whoa, that just blew me away.
Little conspiracy kind of theory behind the poster.
The shape of it?
what the subliminal face is of all the people that made it up?
Yeah.
No, but I'm gonna have to look it up now. Hang on. Tell me.
All right,
I'm gonna look up the
No.
poster.
I want you to look it up.
Okay. And while David's looking that up, yes, it looks amazing when you think of it that way.
I cannot unsee it now.
No, I totally see it. And what David pointed out, I see very closely related to what you're saying and what David's saying in the same poster. Now I'm looking at it going, it makes total sense. It's amazing.
Well, the thing is, I think it's because Luke is not going to be the conventional hero in this.
He's not going to be he is not the Obi-Wan.
No, and he's going to be that guy that's so beaten down, and he's going to be both the light side and the dark. People are speculating that he's going to be a gray Jedi, but I think that he's going to be in a very dark place, and I think it's going to be Rey that kind of brings him back to Luke Skywalker, the hero,
his fall
by the end of the movie.
They're going to go. You're thinking they're going to go opposite from what the original Star Wars did. Where she's going to bring him back, where Anakin went fully to the dark side. She's going to do what Obi-Wan couldn't do to Anakin.
Yeah,
but I don't even think it's going to be that bad. I just think it's Luke's just pissed off and depressed, right? Yeah. I don't think he fully went to the dark side. I think if they were going to copy kind of story beats from the original, I think that would play out with more of a Kylo Ren being redeemed, right? But even then, I don't even see Kylo Ren being totally evil. I mean, look how upset he got when he killed his dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Darth Vader killed kids.
I'm looking at the poster, and I mean, aside from Luke looking like Obi-Wan,
I will find the image right now, Dave, and I will send it to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So while you're doing that in the background, and David, you can comment on that afterwards, we've had some other amazing trailers come our way, too. The new Stranger Things 2 trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Was absolutely fantastic. And we're only days away from that, really.
You know what, though? I told you this already, Adam, in a conversation that we had, that I wasn't wowed by the trailer. Don't get me wrong. I'm super pumped for this show. I love Stranger Things, but it could have been just the day when I saw it, but I was not like, oh my god, like the first trailer was fantastic.
The first trailer was a lot better.
This one was just, it was cool, but I don't know, I just wasn't wowed.
A lot of people are saying it was too much.
Yeah.
It showed a little too much. And in fact, maybe it did, but I look at it saying, okay, I've got a lot more to look forward to, and it made me realize that this season is a lot more in depth than they had originally let on to be.
Well, the one thing that I picked up on watching the newer trailer was the quality of the new episodes, the footage. I mean, you can tell that they've upped their game, they've upped the budget. I mean, just from a pure visual perspective, it looks amazing.
Yes.
It really does.
Yeah, it truly does.
Looking forward to it.
So with that being said, Tim.
Yes, sir.
So you've been good lately? Watched anything good? Done anything else?
I've been watching. See, the thing is like I don't know what to watch. Like I almost feel obligated that it's Halloween coming up, that I have to watch horror movies. But the thing is, I always watch horror movies. It doesn't even matter what time of year it is, right? Like I'm a horror fan. I watch horror movies all year round.
Yeah.
So picking and choosing the special ones. So last year, me and Anthony watched the Rob Zombie remake of Halloween 1 and 2. This year, we're watching the original 1 and 2. But I don't even know if we should watch 1 and 2 now, or watch 2 at least, because it doesn't count according to John Carpenter.
Man, isn't that something?
I mean, but you know what though? I like that they're retconning everything past 1 or past 2. No, past 1. So everything after. So this is going to be a direct sequel to the original John Carpenter Halloween, where John Carpenter actually has a say in it. Like, it's kind of exciting, but it kind of sucks that we spent the last 30 years enjoying these movies that don't count anymore. Like, it's Star Wars getting bought by Disney all over again.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. And I'm okay with everything past part 2, but, I mean, I'm kind of partial to 1 and 2 because they flow so well together. Yeah, I mean, it's technically, to me, it's like watching one long movie.
I'm calling it.
That's the way I've always felt.
I think it's misdirection. I'm calling it. I think that it's going to take place. This movie's going to occur, and then the very last scene is going to be them using a de-aging technique on Jamie Lee Curtis. She wakes up in the hospital. So and I hear nothing from you guys, so obviously I sound like an idiot.
No, so what you're saying is that
trying to comprehend.
It was all a dream. It was all a dream.
So what I'm trying to think is, like, this movie is going to be basically a dream. It's gonna be like, one of those scenes where at the very end it's like, pan back from the face or something like this, and her eyes open up and it's a young Jamie Lee, and it's exactly where maybe the second movie kicked off, or something to that tone. And maybe it doesn't entirely negate the other ones, but maybe that's the misdirection that they're trying to say. Because when you go into this movie, you're going to know it's a direct sequel to the original, forget that the other ones exist, and all of a sudden at the very end, what a twist. You know what I mean? M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and I don't think it would be completely stupid, but I would feel, me personally, a little ripped off that by the time this movie comes out, I already have it set in my head that all these other Halloween movies don't count, okay?
Yeah.
Then I get in to go see the movie under the understanding that all these other movies don't count. This is the direct sequel. And then all of a sudden it's a fucking dream? What in the fuck, Adam? And I'll blame you.
I just ruined it for you.
I'll blame you.
And I will be blamed as always, Adams.
I'm just really excited. Like, I'm a huge Mike Myers fan, but I feel like they've done with every horror icon. They don't treat them right. They don't treat them with the respect. They don't pay tribute to the roots these movies, originally set out to achieve. And it's just really exciting that the Mike Myers that I love in number one is coming back.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the same cast. Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. I'm hoping that this lights the fire under the hacks at who owns the Friday the 13th series?
Platinum Dunes
Platinum Dunes owns it right. Paramount owns it right now. Apparently, the rights are like very soon supposed to be reverting back to New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
If the New Line gets their hands back on it, we might get something good.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's with it coming out, or already being out and being a huge success. Mm-hmm. Now they have time to craft these. They see that people still like horror movies, right?
Yes.
So, all right, let's do what Hollywood does, and let's give them, shit that we've seen 1,000 times, but make it better. But it doesn't always work. I mean, you guys watched Leatherface, didn't you?
Okay, and I don't want to get into that right now because, ladies and gentlemen, tonight I am going to present to you a very special return to a segment, which I have not done in a while.
Okay, all right.
Dedicated to Leatherface.
Okay.
So let's not talk about that yet.
Okay, all right.
But
Fair enough.
So, David, we're going to move down the virtual table.
All right.
And we're going to talk to Mr. Big White Fluffy Headphones, the other white meat Miles. How you doing?
Thanks. I'm good.
Like 12, 13 minutes into the episode. Finally, Dave!
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks. It's hard to believe it's been like 2 weeks, I think, since we recorded an episode. It seems like forever. Glad to be back here tonight. I've been watching tons of movies. Like Tim said, I mean, tis the season. I watch horror movies all year long, just like Adam, just like Tim, but it just seems like when Halloween rolls around, you get in that mood, and it's like, oh, the leaves are falling off the trees, everything's turning color.
It's getting a little colder out.
Getting a little colder outside, time to turn down the lights and, after supper, sit down and watch a horror movie. It's just, it's that ambiance, it's just that time of year. It just feels right. And, I've been watching some of the classics and watching a lot of the new ones. Houses October Built 2, Leatherface. I watched something really cool last night. I posted on our discussion group today.
I saw that.
The Friday the 13th fan film that came out of left field called Never Hike Alone. Like, give this guy some money and a contract and let's get a new Friday the 13th movie. Like, we basically got a new Friday the 13th movie. This thing was near feature length. It runs 53 minutes. It was very well done. I was totally surprised. And some of the reviews that I've read, the guys are like, fuck this, I'm considering this canon. I mean, it's got Tom Matthews in it, reprising his role as Tommy Jarvis. I mean, hello, amazing. Yeah. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, go out and watch it now. I mean, it's an amazing movie. So, I mean, I've been watching tons of stuff, over the past couple weeks, and basically just enjoying the season. Oh, and got my first directing gig for live theater. I'm going to be directing Agatha Christie's The Mousetrap this March. So we've started auditions last week. We've got auditions again this week, and then rehearsals start November 1st, and we hit the stage in March. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So it's a big one for me. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Good stuff, buddy. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so let's talk about the good stuff with me for a minute. Let's talk about the good stuff with me for a minute. Well, I've been watching movies, ever since we last talked. I went back and revisited Houses October Built 1 and then watched part 2, basically marathoned it because I was sick for a while. So, in span of a day, I just kind of throw on the next movie and the next movie and the next movie. I went back, watched part 1. Still holds up. I thought it was really well done. Part 2, slightly disappointed, but I know where they were going with it. I liked where they were going with it, but I called it from the very beginning of the damn movie what was going to happen. I almost entirely called it. The only thing I did not call was the actual blue skeleton involvement. I just kind of figured that they were going to do something else. I didn't call blue skeleton's actual involvement. That period. That was about it. But
did you watch it, Tim?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But
that's why I'm like, whoa, spoilers!
Wait a minute.
But on an extremely positive note, the best horror movie I've watched in a little while now, I watched last night on Netflix. It was a Netflix original, and some people are shitting on it, and other people are calling it the next revisitation of slashers. The Babysitter.
Babysitter, yeah!
Did you watch it, Tim?
Yes, I did.
What did you think?
Okay, I believe it or not, okay, so this is a sign that I've been doing proper dad duties, okay? But my son tells me Netflix got a new movie, a Netflix original called The Babysitter. It's a horror movie. I want to watch it. I was like, absolutely, whatever, man. Like, that's awesome. So I'm in the kitchen making supper, and he's watching it, right? Because normally that's when we watch our movies, is when we eat supper, right? I'm watching it, and I kind of peek in, and I'm like, oh, wow, she's really hot. Like, she's really hot. And I keep periodically just kind of, and then I sit down to eat, and then that's when he's upstairs looking through the bars, and they got the guy in the chair, and snap, I'm like, yes, this is awesome. So yes, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it.
Oh man, I totally. I was telling David, just not to be spoiler about it. I was telling David about the key of the movie and how it was funny, well acted. Bella Thorne's hot. Robbie Amell was awesome as the dumbass jock. But he's like, look at my pecs, look at my beautiful body.
Why don't you have a shirt on?
Why is he shirtless?
Is that the question you're going to ask right now? Like,
exactly. Like, why is he shirtless? The period, right? The characters were well thought out. McG was in his element making this movie, and even right down to the creepy dad of the girl that he likes. Sitting there with the hose, spraying his car down and shit. I was just like, oh man, this is great. I totally loved it. Came out of left field. He has not. And
stop talking about it.
Yeah. I told him he's got to see it, plain and simple.
Yeah. I was going to watch it last night, and I ended up watching that Friday fan film. I was going to watch The Babysitter last night. Probably should have. That way we could have maybe discussed that in the round table. But that's okay. I'll watch it this week. It's on my list.
Have you guys seen Blade Runner 2049 yet?
No. Tell me it's good. Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
This movie, okay. Unfortunately, it's not doing good in the box office right now, which sucks. But everybody's like, they don't understand why, because it's It is an achievement. It is a masterpiece. It is a completely immersive movie.
Nice.
It literally puts you in this world. And the thing that I really enjoyed about it was the fact that it felt like a continuation. It didn't feel like the sequel, a reboot. It was none of that. It's, we're going to this world again. And this is another little story that's kind of similar to the first one and adds to the first one, but it doesn't take anything away. Fucking Ryan Gosling is the man. He is so he's like moving up the list of like favorite actors now. Like he is so good in this movie.
Nice.
Yeah, I've always liked Ryan Gosling in the movies, and yeah.
But the thing that I really liked was he's able to have that kind of bravado that I'm a stoic, don't kind of mess with me kind of character, while at the same time explain. I just made up a word, guys. Displaying emotion with his eyes without even like saying, like it's just really good. Really good time.
Really good time.
Real good.
Real nice.
Real nice.
Real nice. Go see it. I can't recommend it enough. Especially if you're a fan of the first one.
Oh yes, absolutely. Gotta go see it then. Gotta see it.
And you gotta see it. Fuck the 3D stuff. Go see it in IMAX. Just straight up, regular IMAX. That's what I saw it. It was amazing.
See, I'd like to actually see Blade Runner again in the theater. But I'd like to see it on the big screen, immersive, and then follow it up with this. It's just, Blade Runner is that type of movie. You have to... What's that?
I said you would be in that movie theater all day.
Oh, yeah, exactly. What's the new one? It's like 2 hours, 49 minutes or something?
Yeah, and it totally zapped me of energy. Like, it was overwhelming, and it was not that it's a bad thing. Like I said, it's so immersive, and like it's just, I don't know, man. There was like a visual texture through the whole. Wow.
Nice. Crazy. I'd say the only other thing that I got to add is that I've been having fun. I want to say my new October tradition, I kind of made some good friends with a group in the Valley by the name of Phantom Effects Group, run by a gentleman by the name of Aaron Peerless. Very talented effects artist. And I've been acting in his haunted house for the last couple weekends, scaring the piss out of people. I've been everything from a chainsaw wielding maniac to a hillbilly to somebody sitting on a shitter. It's hilarious. And I've been running through a corn maze dressed as a clown. I'm having a blast with it. People are enjoying it. And it's very cool because when you walk in, there's actually a tally of how many people have pissed their pants, how many people have shit their pants, and how many people have actually shut down the attraction due to a panic attack.
Really?
Yeah. Like if there's a full-on panic attack, they do shut things down and kind of get them out of there and then start up again. And the last tally that I had was like 25 pants pissers, four pants pissers, four pants shitters, and
no way.
Yep.
I can't believe that.
Oh, dude, no. Every night they check to see what the tally is, and people report in.
Do they check their pants? Do they check your pants on the way out?
I don't know what I don't know the exact chain of evidence required for said situation, but it was really
Next weekend, Adam's the pant checker.
But it was really perplexing because the first time I went in, the pants shitter, there was a mark, like half.
So it's like turtle head in it?
I was like, exactly. What is that like? And everybody was like, that means that they basically sharded and were not, it wasn't
a full-on shit.
It was a shart. And I'm like, oh okay. Man. So they got tired of explaining that. So thankfully we had another half a member the other day. So
prairie dogging.
Yeah, prairie dogging. So it's been fun. All right, guys.
Did you see what just happened there, Dave?
What?
Adam, on my end anyway, you froze. Oh. Like your screen froze, and I didn't hear anything, and you were like...
Who, Adam? Oh.
Yeah. It was funny.
Didn't see that.
That's hilarious. All right. Well, guys, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to introduce back again, because we are almost 1 year entirely into our releases of episodes. I'm going to bring in an old-time favorite segment, Coming back at you guys in a minute.
Greetings from Tromaville. I'm Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma Entertainment and creator of the Toxic Avenger. You know, folks, when we're not making those great movies like Tromeo and Juliet and Return to Nukem I, a.k.a. Volume 2, the Troma team and I like to kick back and listen to They Cast from the Coast. They Cast from the Coast is really the best entertainment, the best education, and the best emotional liberation that Lloyd Kaufman can possibly experience. Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. Going to take a moment here to once again introduce a specific segment that we haven't done in a little while now, but there is good reason for this. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Rated S for Shit!
Shit!
I love it. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. All right. Rated S for Shit. Leatherface 2017. Where do I begin with this terrible, god-awful piece of garbage shit movie? So, it's catching a lot of flack from people, but with good goddamn reason, okay? Plain and simple. The movie is terribly done, terribly acted, makes a mockery of everything that the original series of movies stood for, and pisses on the memory of Tobe Hooper and Gunnar Hansen without batting an eye or thinking that it does. Alright, plain and simple. The only redeeming quality of any kind of this movie is the first few minutes of it.
10 minutes.
10 minutes at the most.
It's literally 10 minutes.
And that's to the very end of the moment where the girl dies in the barn, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. 10 minutes into the movie. So the birthday party opening scene, kind of shitty in the terms of like who the fuck gives a saw to a kid for a birthday, whatever. But
I told you guys that in the trailer.
I know.
You didn't listen to me. I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
No, and it doesn't. Yeah. But with the one thing that you thought was creepy from the trailer, which was the part of the opening scene, which was really good, where he stands up, he's got the cow head on, leading the girl into the barn, and they kill the girl, and it was pretty gruesome, and it was pretty cool, and I like that. But then after that, Stephen Dorff becomes one of the worst revenge-filled characters I've ever seen in a movie. He literally has no regard for anything. He's bullshit. His acting sucks. I don't know what happened to him. Was it time to pay the rent, Steven? Like, plain and simple, that's what you needed, was a paycheck just to kind of get by for, put some food in your mouth or something like this. Sucked. I'm sorry, man. You sucked in this movie. The character was poorly written. Now, that it might not be your fault. It might just be that you were given poor direction. So that goes down to the way that the directors handled this movie. The two gentlemen who actually directed this movie, Bustillo and Mori, did back in like 2007 the movie Inside, one of the French extreme horror movies that got released through the Tartan Extreme or the French Extreme
Dimension
movies.
Extreme.
Dimension Extreme things.
Yeah.
Great movie. I actually can't wait to see the remake of it, the Americanized version. It probably won't be as effective now that, everybody knows what goes on with the movie. Kind of like what Martyrs happened, you know what I mean? However, they had something going for them. And people probably thought that this was going to be a good idea to hand off a beloved and cherished series and character and say, you guys go extreme with it and everything will be great. Unfortunately, it fell flat on their face with this movie, and there's nothing else redeeming about it whatsoever. I'm so pissed off. One of the biggest complaints that I have about this movie is the fact that everybody says, oh, what do you mean? It was such a twist. Bud wasn't really Leatherface. It was the other guy. Okay.
That's what I told you. Like, that's the one. I mean, of all the things that pissed me off about this movie, that god-awful bait and switch. What the hell was that? But I was so mad when that happened.
And you know what? A lot of people were, but the problem that I had with it was that I seen it coming from a mile away, because one of the very first pictures that they actually released of the movie was a behind-the-scenes photo showing Bud getting his brains blown out by that damn deputy. There is that photo floated around the internet.
Put that aside. I mean, I'd actually forgotten about that photo, and I'm watching the movie, and I'm thinking this is Leatherface, this is young Leatherface, Bud, and all of a sudden, he gets his brains blown out, and I'm like, what did I just miss here? What? Oh, maybe that's why Leatherface is like, the way he is. Maybe he actually survived that or something, right? And I'm trying to make sense of it. Mm-hmm. And then I start cluing in pretty quick. Wait a minute. No. Oh, shit. Really? Yeah. Anyway, it was stupid. It wasn't one of those those glowing moments, you know what I mean? It was like, it pissed me off. I'm like, there was no need in that whatsoever. Like, that was absolutely pointless. Anyway, I'm stealing your thunder, Adam.
They took
Go
something.
ahead.
They also took something about the character that was never explained, that Platinum Dunes tried to explain, and they elaborated it in their own way. In the original, Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, he's just a man-child who wears people's faces. He is just a brain is gone, mush guy who murders people, and that's the scary thing about this cannibal family. He's simple. Platinum Dunes remake, they made it that he had like a flesh-eating disease that killed off his face, and he wears the mask to kind of make himself feel better. I wasn't opposed to it. It was a different take on it purposely, and I liked it. I didn't mind it at all. But in this one, they tried to give an explanation. And what do we always say when they try to hold your hand and give a damn explanation about it? It's too much. They crammed it in there. And what happened when he got that, his face basically exploded from the gunshot, and they had to like sew his face back together, and now he's a drooling simpleton from it. Not a fan. I'm sorry. For everything that I have to add to this movie will go down in infamy as probably the pissing point beyond the Next Generation Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a movie that Matthew McConaughey purposely forgot that he was even in when asked questions about. This movie is that much worse, and it will go down the pisser in infamy for that. And you know what? I'm sorry. That's the way I feel. This movie is officially rated S for shit. Anything else to add to that, gentlemen?
You know what, Adam? You said everything that I thought, everything that I felt. I am not going to ruin your words with my words. I feel the same. Fuck this movie. Fuck it in its stupid face.
David? You look unimpressed with what Tim just said, but please, what's your final thought on this movie, Dave?
No, I thought it was hilarious. I'm trying to think up my own
Timism.
Timism. Nice.
Well, Tim's got the face. Are you gonna, the other way?
Yeah, no. Adam, I think you said everything. I mean, the only thing I'll add is, we were all a little confused before this movie came out, why it was taking so long. And of course, you know what happens when movies take longer than what they should to hit mainstream, to hit some sort of outlet, video on demand, direct to DVD, whatever. You start getting a little worried because obviously the studios probably aren't happy with it and they don't know what to do with it. And then they dropped the first trailer. And I remember on a previous episode, we all had a quick discussion on it and went, that actually doesn't look half bad. I mean, there's obviously some problems that we see from the trailer, such as the chainsaw with the birthday, and Tim pointed that out. But in the end, it was kind of like, okay, you've got our attention. Looks interesting. And then I watched it, and I mean, Adam, you said everything. I mean, I'm not going to take away from your spiel there. It was disappointing. I'll leave it at that. I was horribly disappointed with it. I thought in this day and age... Go ahead.
Oh, no, finish what you were
I was going to say, in this day and age, they should know better. It's that, to me, they tried too hard to do something different or to try to develop a backstory. And that's the one thing that just grates on my nerves is sometimes you just don't need a backstory. Why don't we just have another story, like a continuation or something? It's like... Leatherface is mysterious because we don't know his backstory. It's haunting. It makes him scary. And then developing a story like this and literally dragging it through the shit, it's bad for the franchise overall. And now this isn't going to make any money, and then, our hopes of seeing a decent Texas Chainsaw Massacre at some point in time in the future has now been crushed because of this movie. And it's like, why are we there in this day and age? I look to what Danny McBride and John Carpenter and Blumhouse are going to be hopefully doing with the new Halloween movie. And it's like, please, please, please do something right. It's just because if you keep fucking it up, like, we're just not going to have these movies anymore. Bloody Disgusting had a great article earlier today or on the weekend saying that we're coming up on the longest stretch between Friday the 13th movies. It's like 8 years, almost 9 years since the last Friday the 13th movie. And if you remember back to the 80s, the first one came out in 80 and the last one came out in 89. Sorry, part 8 came out in 89. We were getting almost a Friday the 13th movie a year, and they were making money. And they weren't worried about, going back and rehashing an origin story or whatever. They were just continuing on the franchise and doing what they did best, and just making another sequel, another successor in that franchise. And we've lost that. Nightmare did it, Halloween did it, Friday did it, and then it's like we get to the 90s and everybody forgets what made these movies great or how to make a good movie. And it's just been disappointing ever since.
What I think needs to happen is we will get another Leatherface Texas Chainsaw movie because it has made money in the past. Unfortunately, we're not going to get one for a while. Like you said, with what John Carpenter and Danny McBride and Blumhouse are going to do with Halloween, that's really exciting. Leatherface came out at a time after it, okay? So it, like I keep saying, it's changed the game. It's changed it. So if we keep getting, over the next couple months, just those shitty ones out of the way of what took place before it was made, then I think we're going to be good. You guys, I'm assuming you guys saw Cult of Chucky.
Yes.
Didn't watch it
That I won't ruin anything, but that is how you continue a franchise. It was good.
Yes. It was good, but it was not. I expected something a little bit more, and I think that's only due to the fact that they raised the bar with Curse of Chucky 2 years ago. I was blown away with Curse of Chucky. It's like that was what, the 5th Child's Play movie? 6th, I think, was Curse of Chucky, was the 6th Child's Play movie. And I went into it with an open mind because I like Chucky and I like Child's Play. And it blew me away. I'm like, wow, like this is totally reinventing, the Child's Play franchise. This is how you should be keeping it going. So I went in with high hopes in Cult of Chucky. I wasn't totally disappointed. I think I was just expecting a little bit more. I think the budget had something to do with it. It just felt smaller and more isolated.
Absolutely. And it was, but
it wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't bad. And the thing that I'm really excited about is the fact that I watched an interview with Don Mancini, and he already has part 8. Yeah, I know how I'm going to continue this. And I mean, that's another thing. How many series, how many franchises have the same creative person working on all the films?
Yeah, exactly.
Not too many of them.
Like, of course, Don Mancini's been there since the beginning. He made it up. Right?
Of course he has to continue it. You've seen the post-credits, who showed up.
Yeah, so awesome.
Right?
It was,
I'm like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, it's Adam's fault that he didn't see it yet.
I know who shows up. I know.
Oh, okay.
And just want to play. I love how she says it. It was really good. It was really good. But you're right. It did feel smaller. But the point that I'm making is that Child's Play is an old series as well. That came out in what, 87?
88, 87 or 88, the original.
So, I mean, here we are 30 years later, and we're already planning an 8th film, and like the last 2 of them that they've done have been pretty good.
Yeah.
Right?
That speaks volumes.
So
it's possible. You just got to have the right people.
I'm hoping that other production companies, other filmmakers see this and they're like, okay, this is what the fans want, so we don't end up with Leatherface. And we don't have to bitch about it on our show, rating it S for shit.
Shit.
Run it all back. Big loop.
Run it all back. All right, guys. We're gonna take another quick break. That was a good discussion on that. And when we come back, we're gonna actually talk about a movie tonight that we're gonna cover. And it's a very special movie due to the fact that 30 years ago today that we're recording this, the movie actually came out. So coming back in a minute, let's talk about the movie.
Have you ever heard of Candyman? And if you look in the mirror, you say his name 5 times.
In cities everywhere,
Candyman.
they whisper his name.
Right. Candyman.
It's just a story,
Candyman.
Candyman.
just a ghost story.
Candyman.
An entire community starts attributing the daily horrors of their lives to a mythical figure.
The legend first appeared in 1890. He was attacked, mutilated, and burned to death. Poor Candyman.
Helen, a woman died in there. Leave it.
Everyone knows he isn't real.
That's modern oral folklore.
Everyone. Except Helen Lyle.
Bernadette.
It ain't safe around here.
I don't scare too easy. Wanna know about Ruthie Jean? They ain't never gonna catch him. Who? Candyman.
Who is that?
I came for you.
Do I know you?
Now, she is about to discover
Helen? Get out! Get out!
what's behind the mystery.
I'm sick.
What's behind the legend.
Listen, he's under the bed!
And most terrifying of all, come with me. What's behind the mirror.
He's here.
Candyman. You don't have to believe. Just beware.
Welcome back, everybody. And after that rant and raving, lunacy from us, thank you very much for joining us again. Tonight's movie that we will be discussing is Candyman. Dave! Take us out. Take us out, Dave.
Man. Don't say his name 5 times.
Yeah, 5
Never
times.
know. Candyman may show up.
I would love if Tony Todd showed up at my house right now.
Wouldn't that be something?
Like, Tony fucking Todd.
Candyman.
It's
Tony!
All right, go ahead, Dave. I'm
So-
sorry.
As you can tell, Candyman is definitely a favorite movie of ours. I personally love this movie. It's haunting. Like it's so cool. It was originally released in 1992, based off of a short story by Clive Barker called The Forbidden. The original story actually takes place in Barker's hometown of Liverpool, England, and it's about the lead character Helen, who's a photography student, and she goes to a decrepit, rundown apartment complex. Well, so this is the original story, and this is where it differs a little bit from the movie.
All right. Yeah, I didn't hear that part. Okay,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So the short story is basically she's photographing graffiti in an old rundown apartment complex in Liverpool and gets wrapped up into the Candyman mythos. And when it came time when Barker sold the rights and they were going to make the movie of it, they decided to transport the characters and the storyline from England to Chicago, Illinois, and place the character of Candyman and that whole urban legend in Chicago's Cabrini Green location. And for those that don't know, Cabrini Green was one of the original housing projects in Chicago, and it ended up basically going into rundown projects, low rental, low income housing, and that is the setting of Candyman. So the character of Helen from the original short story is now still a university student, but her and her friend are investigating urban legends. And they come across the urban legend of Candyman, who supposedly haunts Cabrini Green in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And they decide to investigate as part of their thesis. They decide to investigate and write about Candyman as part of their thesis and get it published. And of course, what happens is, they basically get wrapped up in this this urban legend of Candyman. Come to find out, there's a lot more truth to it, and there's a whole backstory, and it's so well done. I mean, the score, the visual effects, the cinematography, everything is almost done to perfection in this movie. The acting is very well done. Some of it's a little over the top, but I mean, performances by Virginia Madsen, Tony Todd, I mean, just amazing overall. And, of course, what did we get from this movie? The Candyman himself, a new iconic horror icon. We had talked about this in a couple previous episodes where we're not getting as many horror icons today as what we used to. I mean, we had Jason and we had Freddy and Leatherface and Chucky. And Candyman was kind of one of the last, at least that I can recall, one of the last icons, true horror icons that we received, and that would have been back in '92.
Yep.
So,
okay,
but just an all-around great movie, fantastic. I mean, visual effects, the urban legend itself, some great cameos, fantastic movie.
Okay, good. Story. So David just discussed the story, the basic plot of the movie itself. So Tim, thoughts on the story and the plot?
I thought the story was really good. I thought that it was nice to take kind of an urban legend of like Bloody Mary and, incorporate that into a more horror story with like an origin and all this kind of stuff. I watched this for the first time since I was like a teenager, and I remember it being a lot better than it was. Now, I'm not saying that it was bad, because I'm not. But I just found myself bored for large pockets of this film. Adam, your eyes just bugged out of your head a little bit. Are you all right?
No, because I'm thinking about that same situation.
Okay, so I thought the acting was really good for the most part. I think some of the people could have been recast. It's just me. But like I said, it's still, I still like this movie. I still, have this movie in high regard. I hold it up there, but it's not as good as I remember.
Fair enough. So in terms of story and plot, I feel the same way. I love the fact that this is an urban mythology, that this is a, take your iconic horror character and bring him in, like locational legends, you know what I mean? Like the Victor Crowleys of Louisiana and the Jason of Camp Crystal Lake, and you have the Candyman of Cabrini Green. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's a nice, a new location, a new surrounding, and it's such an interesting character because even though like I kind of feel the same way as Tim, the movie is not as great as I imagined it, like looking back at it. However, Tony Todd as the Candyman still kills it. The man is impressive on screen, and everything from the practical effects down, which we'll talk about in a second, are just absolutely beautifully done. Overall, the story is good, but I feel like after watching this movie, it could have been like an hour long. You know what I mean? And it still would have had the same, actually probably even a better effect, because the timing would have been better for a lot of what we've seen.
I just found myself watching this wanting more Tony Todd.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I understand, from a story standpoint, you can't have, the villain in every fucking scene. You can't have it. You need conflict. You need to build up to that. I get that. But I just found that when he was on, he had my attention. He had the look. He had the bravado. He had the voice. He stole the scenes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. My gripe was there wasn't enough of them.
Very commonly, though, Clive Barker stories.
Yeah.
Look at the Hell Priest, Pinhead, as he's more commonly known. He doesn't appear for the vast majority of the first Hellraiser movie.
He's not in it until maybe
like
the last
the very end
10
of it,
minutes.
right?
Yeah,
exactly, right. But what came out of the original Hellraiser movie? Pinhead, the Hell Priest, right? Iconic character, but he doesn't appear for like the vast majority of the movie. And Tony Todd's Candyman was very much the same way. There was inklings of him here and there, and then about the a little bit past the half mark, he starts to really appear, and then
but
at the end he's there.
But did you find that this film didn't know what kind of horror film it wanted to be?
I found that it knew what it wanted to be, but it's not what it should have been.
No, it just, to me, there's points where it absolutely felt like a slasher, but then it had the ghost paranormal thing with the urban legend. Like, I just found that it jumped. It's like, what the fuck are you? What kind of movie are you trying to be right now?
Yeah.
It's interesting listening to you guys back and forth talk about this, because when I watched it the other day, it's the first time that my wife had seen the movie, and she echoed a lot of your comments, such as, I thought this was supposed to be a horror movie. She goes, it is horror to a certain extent, but it's more gothic, or it's more thriller than outright horror.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, my comment back to her was,
shut up.
Well, yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, but my comment back was, today's society is so ingrained with torture porn and extreme horror, where there's blood being splashed on the screen and limbs flying off and just, in your face, balls to the wall horror, aggressive horror, for the past decade, that when you go back and rewatch a movie like this, this was an out-and-out horror movie, in 92 when it came out, but our tastes have changed. Our outlook on horror has changed over the years, especially, the past 5 to 10 years. This is a more tame horror movie today than what it was when we first watched it in 92 when it came out. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a different type of horror movie than what we're used to today.
I agree with that to a point. I do. I do. But like I said, I remember this movie being
better. I just remember being enthralled the whole time, and it could have been because, like you said, I've been desensitized by the movies that I've been watching recently and the last couple of years. But yeah, it was almost disappointing to me that I thought this movie was like better. Yeah, but then that plays into what we need to talk about next, though, is that some of the best stuff in the movie are in fact the gore and effects. When it happens, Tony Todd's character, the Candyman, is a very well thought out character. He's very iconic looking. Like you said, Tim, you used the words like, he had bravado, scene presence. He was there. And when he was there, and that booming voice, I love Tony Todd's voice when he talks.
Oh, when he's not even talking, with his mouth and he's in her head?
Yeah.
That shit is awesome.
It's like,
awesome.
It's like James Earl Jones effect or Morgan Freeman type effect. Tony Todd is up
there. Can you imagine Morgan Freeman as Candyman? Holy
amazing.
Shit.
That's awesome. That'd be cool.
Morgan Freeman. And, all right, sorry.
Hey, Tim. The gore and effects, though. I love the chest piece and the bees, and the fact that, looking back at some of the trivia of the movie, is that they were actually used real bees for the vast majority of what he had in his mouth and crawling all over his head and his face and his chest and everything else. Well done. And even down to his hook hand, that was, the severed hand with basically the rusty hook and the nails popped it in place. Well done. And the murder scenes were all great in the movie, and they were visceral, and they were personal feeling. There was, even though the characters were not directly related or relatable to Candyman, because of her involvement of getting these people murdered, the murders feel very, very personal to me in this movie.
Yes, but the thing that I was kind of annoyed with was, I think it's very refreshing that we have a black horror icon. I think that's awesome. I love that the setting was, for the most part, in urban, where was it, Chicago?
Chicago.
Yep.
Yeah. With Cabrini Green. I like all that stuff, but what I don't like is the whitest white woman you could possibly get in this movie, and it's just, it almost cheapened it for me a little bit. Like, I'm not taking anything away from, Miss Madsen, because I think she was rather 90s hot. Like, I thought she was pretty hot, but I don't know, like, I felt that, again, it didn't know what it wanted to be. Like, Candyman comes across as, like, almost like a Guy Fawkes, a Phantom of the Opera kind of urban legend, you know what I mean? And, like, I don't know, like, they should have just stuck with that, or at least stuck closer to the actual source material by, Barker, So, I'm sorry.
But you like the gore and you like the effects.
I did like the gore for the most part, but that's the thing that I was going to bring up. It like, she kept getting blamed for killing people, and then because she's white, she got away with it. Like, that's what it felt like. Like, she just kept getting away with it, and then she escapes.
There was a lot of social commentary to the movie, and the fact that the whitest of the white girls in Cabrini Green shows up, it really did play to something, though. It really did say something.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's like, I think it would have been better if, like I said, it stuck closer to the actual source material. Mm-hmm. But if you're not going to stick close to the source material, you didn't need to make... I don't know. Like I said, it just didn't know... This recent viewing, it just didn't know what it wanted to be.
Okay.
To me,
so,
my opinion.
So if it cut out, not necessarily all the murders, but all the gore and the slasher type stuff, it probably would have played out better as a haunted fairy tale.
Yeah,
sure.
And I think it had more going for it as a haunted fairy tale. I could have watched this movie easily without, and there wasn't a whole lot of gore in it, but if you would have taken out even more of the gore and just left very little in there, I would have still watched this movie and still would have enjoyed it. I mean, like you said, Adam, Candyman's booming voice. I mean, if you're listening to it in stereo, it's that echo that, like, it was amazing, just the reverb. And the story itself, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very good story. I don't know. I find it a very haunting fairy tale, and
that is a very good point. No, that is perfect, because you almost get this sense that Candyman is looking for a bride, right?
Yes, and that's why. Will you be my victim? Right? It's almost like a haunted love story between the two of them. That's how it plays out,
and that is awesome.
Yeah.
But then he dies in a fire, but he's a ghost. But now she's the Candyman Like, it's just, what is going on? What is going on?
Well, and that's why.
Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, when she shows up behind her ex-husband, and I was like, yeah, kill that fucker, right? But but
now you're haunted.
But you're absolutely right. They should have took that haunted fairy tale, like Beauty and the Beast, or whatever. Like, that's what it felt like, and they should have stuck with that.
I actually feel, and I felt this way ever since I first saw the movie, the ending would have only been better if he didn't explode the way that he did, and he just kind of disappeared. And when she appears and murders him at the end, if Candyman had been standing in the background
watching, yeah.
Kind of like in approval of what was going on. It's the circle's complete now. He got what he wanted. And now she's getting what she wanted, technically. You know what I mean? So, like, I like that. I like that. Overall, rating and feeling of the movie, Tim.
I think if I had to, like, rate it out of, like, 10, I would give it maybe a 6.5.
That's fair.
Based on this newest viewing. But, I mean, saying what we just said about haunted fairy tales and all that, I think going into it, the next time I watch it, I would keep that in mind. Like, this is what it should be. But I mean, overall, I've already said, like, I like this movie for nostalgia reasons. Tony Todd kills it. I think fucking Virginia Madsen's kind of hot.
90s
These
hot.
are all good things. The 90s hot. She was 90s hot, man.
Gillian Anderson 90s hot too, nonetheless.
She looked exactly like fucking Scully.
I know.
Yeah, but Scully's hotter.
Yes.
Oh, Gillian Anderson. Anyways, so yeah, I minus the qualms, I still regard this as it's a good movie. I still do enjoy it. It's just, like I said, watching it again for the first time, I was a little disappointed because I thought it was better. How I remembered it.
Fair enough. Dave, overall,
it's a great movie. I would have to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. It's probably a solid 8. By no means a perfect movie. Definitely has its issues. I give it an 8. Is it a movie that I'm going to watch very often? No.
I totally thought yes.
No. I'll watch it maybe once every few years. If I'm just kind of looking for something to watch, I'll throw it on if I can't find anything. It's not a bad movie, but it's not something that I'm going to regularly watch. You know what I mean? And I mean, we didn't talk about the sequels, but I mean, there are 2 other Candyman movies. There's Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh, and Day of the Dead. I tried to watch Farewell to the Flesh, the second one, the sequel, a couple nights ago, and I got about 15 minutes into it, and I'm like, I'm bored. I turned it off.
But Day of the Dead was good.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen it, I can't even remember it.
I don't even think I saw it.
Oh, yeah.
Third one.
So
I don't even think I saw the third one.
So if I had to rate this movie, I'd probably sit right between you guys on this. I'd probably rate it about a 7. Because the movie is good. It really is good. And it is Tony Todd. And it is Clive Barker. And Virginia Madsen is 90s hot. And it's everything that you really wanted as a movie in that time period of VHS rentals. You walk in, you pick it up off the shelf, look at the box art. I want to see this movie. Put it in, enjoy yourself. Get lost for a little bit, right? I love the urban mythos behind it, and I love the fact that it's a difference of a place. You know, it isn't suburban; it's total urban in this case. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of movies at the time. It kind of played as like to me, it was in the time period of, like, you know, Boys in the Hood and Juice and all these other movies that were getting a lot of high praise for, you know, the urban movies as they were, and then all of a sudden we get an urban-based horror movie or legend or fairy tale, whatever you want to call it. After this discussion, I'll probably, the next time I go into this movie, think the same way about it. You know, one of those urban love stories, haunted love stories, a Guillermo del Toro style of movie, if that was the case, that kind of a thought period. And maybe I'll enjoy it a little bit better, but I will keep it in the back of my head that I thoroughly enjoyed this movie growing up, and I always had a high praise for Tony Todd, the Candyman, the character, and what I witnessed. Talking about the sequels for just 2 seconds, never did like the second one, Farewell to the Flesh, and the third one, Days of the Dead, which took place in like Louisiana or something like this, in New Orleans. I always actually did kind of really like it. I could totally ignore Farewell to the Flesh and go straight to the Days of the Dead, and it was actually a decent movie. I just watched it again a couple of years ago. It was on like Tubi TV or one of these free movie app programs on the Roku, and I walked away from it going, wow, it was pretty good. It tried to be a little bit more than the original movie in terms of timing and the amount of Candyman you got and stuff like that. So I like it. I enjoy it. It is what it is. Will I watch it anytime soon? Probably not again. You know, it'll probably be one of those movies, you know, give me 4 or 5 years and I'll probably, dust off the DVD and put it in. And then that'll probably be the next time I watch it. So until then, but guys, we gotta wrap this up. It's time. We're done. So until next time, Dave.
Good night, everyone. Happy Halloween.
Tim.
Stay spooky, everybody.
And have a good night, everybody. Join us on our YouTube channel. Check us out on Facebook. Check out our group on Facebook. Keep up to date with everything that we're doing, and we're back in action, recording more and more and more, so you'll get more content coming out here shortly. So like, subscribe, share, do it all. Enjoy what we have to offer, and we'll see you next time. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in this week to They Cast from the Coast. We hope you enjoyed the topic and the discussion that we've had tonight. We're very excited about everything that's being produced right now in conjunction with the Misunderstood Art Company. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, say hi in the comments section, and just in general, check out the other content that's being offered, once again, under the Misunderstood Art Company. If you want to listen just to the audio portion of this show itself, we're making it available on iTunes, Google Play, and TuneIn on top of the YouTube channel itself. So thank you very much again for your continued support. Check out the rest of the Misunderstood Art Company's offerings. Might even see some familiar faces. And until next time, take it easy.